Okay, once again, today is Tuesday, April 8th, 2014, and it's right about 1 o'clock, and I'm here with Sergeant Yamaguchi and apparently Kelly.Kruger. Hi, Mr. Yamaguchi, and you are?
I saved my name in the hallway.
So I'm asking again, you are, please, for the record?
I didn't agree to the videotaping. That's what Sergeant agreed to. I said my name in the hallway.
So I'm not to understand that you will not provide your name even though I'm requesting it, and in a safe zone where I'm due respect, honesty, and compassion. Is that correct, Mr. Yamaguchi? As my LGBT Liaison representative.
So how can we help you, Mr. Garza? You know it's
accountability, transparency,
Mr. Garza,
humanity, everything that I'm here for to be in a safe zone.
Mr. Garza, you know it's Sergeant Kruger and myself that you're
This
here
is
to
Sergeant
help you.
Kruger, thank you. Is this the same Sergeant Kruger that abandoned me over a year ago with me following up? And is this the Sergeant Kruger that is the Psychiatric Liaison for the San Francisco Police Department that, like I said, abandoned me and everything else? That I have my records here that I'd like for us to go over, because I believe that last time we spoke, I told you that I would be happy to drink your cup of poison as long as there was accountability and transparency and contrition for how I was mishandled and everything else. You know, and at this point, by not even wanting to be civil and give me, you know, her name on the record, I really do feel violated.
But she did give you her name.
In the hallway, and the recording wasn't going on, and that's why I asked for it again. So,
Okay, well.
you know, that's okay. It's on the video as to how I'm being maltreated. Thank you.
So I sent you an email about how we had 30 minutes, and it is your 30 minutes that you can do with whatever.
And I will tell you that that is unacceptable. Given the texture and the tone of our past relationship and how you did not perform correctly and further harm me by everything, and I guess maybe since it is my 30 minutes, I should point that out so that it will be on video to see how you will answer to that so that I can have some trust, which is a very important thing when dealing with people with disabilities, medical issues, and as a psychiatric liaison, which is your representation in your paperwork, I would hope that you were properly trained for such. I'm also informing you that I also request in the future when we deal and come back and account for everything, you know, that an ADA representative be available so that they can be in here with me and can speak up to my ADA right violations in addition. All right, let us get started. When was the first time you had contact with me, madam, and over what?
I'm not going to be doing this, just for the record. You can state what you feel is fact. I'm not going to go back and forth for 30 minutes about what you think I did or did not do. I'm here because we have to figure out what the purpose of the police department is as far as how you want us to help. If it's appropriate, we will be able to help you. If it's not a criminal matter, if there isn't a police investigation that needs to happen, then it isn't going to be the San Francisco police that are going to accommodate you with that.
Thank you for your statement. Being the psychiatric liaison for the San Francisco Police Department,
yes.
Being aware of what my disability is,
But
being aware of how I've been mishandled in the past. So let's just run down what this is all about, because I've already prepared my notes just for such an occasion.
I don't know what your disability is.
I don't believe that that would be my failure, considering, you know, I followed up with you and everything. You could have checked into it since supposedly at a particular point in time you had a conversation with the Department of Public Health and the city attorney regarding my treatment, which of course, you know, when I followed up with you, I never received a response. I have it all here on emails, madam.
Okay.
Thank you. Now, continuing forward, this has to do with the 8/15/12 incident of me calling and asking for civil standby at the Department of Public Health, where there was a bogus restraining order, and me trying to follow up and hold the people accountable who committed this harm. On 5/6, I initially wrote you to tell you that I was sent to you by Chris. Just as the people see, I keep all the paperwork. And, you know, I had left several messages with you, and then you reported back to me something about having a message machine malfunction and everything else. And I said, well, that's really not my problem. Let's continue with what we need to do. And at that point, you know, I didn't receive a response. And then I rewrote you again on Tuesday, May 7th, you know, in regard to, you know, how I had been abused with the lack of civil standby and everything else, and how there was, you know, the civil standby had failed at OCC and other people who were involved, and directed you to the videotapes that are on YouTube for that. There was no response from you. On 5/8, once again, you know, I followed up. And now this is 5/8/2013, a year ago, basically. And I followed up, and I said, you know, I asked you for information about filing an assault police report, and you told me basically that I could call non-emergency and file the report or go down to a police station. And when I did, they denied me that ability. And I wrote you back and I said, well, either you're wrong or there's something going on. You know, here's the video to watch. Naturally, you never contacted me back. Then, following up on 5/14, you know, I wrote you again saying I'm still awaiting, you know, and at one point in time you notified me that you were, you know, seeing the city attorney in the Department of Public Health. And I said, well, you know, I also went by the city attorney's office and directed you the video and showed you how I was denied access and accommodation. You know, now, mind you, you know, you're the psychiatric liaison. You should understand everything. So let's just continue with that. Then, on 5/17, once again I wrote you, and this is where you informed me that you were having a meeting with the Department of Public Health and the city attorneys, and then you told me that the others did not view the law-breaking activity as denial or criminal fraud. You know, this is the bogus restraining order that they didn't consider criminal fraud, even though I was denied my medical care and everything else, and this is coming from the psychiatric liaison at the San Francisco Police Department. And the video is on YouTube for people to see. I also asked you for the email address to the police commissioners in order to push up, you know, this culture of corruption and the chief of police so that I could point out all the facts and everything. And of course, never received that. Then on 5/22, I wrote you again saying I'm still awaiting. Never received a response. 5/24, another weekend, same thing. 5/28, same thing. No response. And basically on 6/27, you know, continuing to follow up and receiving no response from my psychiatric liaison. Oh, and by the way, during all this time, I was coming back and following up with the people here at the chief of police, who were all telling me that you were my only single point of contact, and there was nothing more that they could do for me and wash their hands of me and naturally have me escorted out because I was being disruptive in following up on your lack of performance and negligent mishandling, shall we say. This was 6/27/2013, the last time I pretty much wrote you. For you to be here, and, you know, just what I've received so far, you know, I really, as I told Mr. Yamaguchi, am feeling like I'm being sent back to the priest that molested me. I, as a disabled person, who has an adjustment disorder that I cannot adjust to disorder. The simple fact that you abandoned me a year ago and are now playing nicey-nicey without explaining to me what you did, why you did, asking to be forgiven. You know, I did receive your email in which you did, you know, respond to me basically and say, let's see, you know, the risk management approach. Mind you, this was last night at midnight that I received this email. After a year of abandonment. Hello, Mr. Garza. I want to say sorry that I wasn't able to meet with you prior. That is so misleading and so deceptive. I can't even begin to tell you. It is a whitewash of, you know, the prior year, the prior ineffectuality, everything else. Then you tell me that you work out of the Special Crime Victims Unit, and that's the place I went to, room 550, where I was so mistreated by Mr. Ramsey and given incorrect law interpretation. That's on YouTube also. Where you tell me that, you know, you're there to help victims of horrible crimes. Well, apparently the Department of Public Health producing a bogus restraining order which denied me my health care obviously isn't a serious crime to you. And you know that the waiting room is supposed to be a safe place for them, but apparently that them doesn't include me. It's interesting. We cannot have video recording in the waiting room because it violates others' victims' confidentiality. Well, that's really not true, because if the waiting room is a public space, I can videotape, you know, especially if my intent is not to videotape them and only videotape the interaction I'm having with the person I'm dealing with. But it's a lovely spin. It's a lovely mischaracterization. It's a lovely way of fixing the intelligence so that you can just put it in your file and say, oh, well, look, I complied. I do wish to let you know that I am only going to be able to meet with you for 30 minutes and hope that we can discuss how you want the San Francisco Police Department to assist you. Well, I still haven't heard an apology, and, you know, considering I have last year's abandonment papers here, which you've never responded to, you know, I find that statement a little difficult to swallow. I would think that it would be a good thing if we could come up with solutions to your requests during this meeting. Yes, I agree with you. I believe part of the solution would be accountability, transparency, being treated in a safe zone. Would you not agree? You know, with respect, compassion, and honesty. You know, so that maybe I can trust you. Because at this point, after the psychiatric liaison, which is yourself, maltreatment, you know, had you done your job, I wouldn't be here continuing to follow up. I might have my medical care. If anybody enforced medical law, I might have my medical care.
So you haven't been denied medical treatment.
That is not true.
But it is true.
No, it's not. I have the video of me going in and seeking, and many videos of me going in, the sheriff walking me out from the Department of Public Health, following up on my medical care. Madam, that is not true.
It is true.
No, it's not, madam.
So that's the issue here. If the issue is that San Francisco Police is supposed to make it so for you to be able to get your medical treatment from the Public Health Department, then things are okay, because they said that they're
That's
available.
if your allegation that I have not been denied medical care is accurate, which it's not reflective on the videos. Thank you for the lovely mischaracterization. So you're telling me that tomorrow, if I go down to the Department of Public Health with my video camera to record me trying to receive my medical care, I will be given that? Please say it on video for me.
So from what I understand,
Is that a yes or a no?
She's trying to explain, Mr.
Thank you.
Garza.
I will-
Right?
I
So
will-
please let her
please.
explain.
because that's a medical facility, my understanding of the law is that you can't videotape in a medical facility because there's people there that have the right for privacy. So that 632 in parentheses A Penal Code, every person who intentionally and without the consent of all parties to a confidential communications by means of any electronic amplifying or recording devices. So by you going into a medical facility, if you went out in there without your flip on and you asked if you could have some medical treatment, then yes, you would be granted your medical treatment.
Oh, that's a lovely supposition. Would you like to see the 10 years of records where I went without my camera and didn't receive it? I have those records, but it's a lovely supposition. In addition,
So
the
that-
section that you're quoting, 632, is not a valid section. It does not apply. So you're incorrect in that too. That is the wiretapping act.
So I was told that where you can receive your treatment is at the Tom Wadell Urban Health.
Now, in addition,
At-
please,
at
I hear where
2030
you're going with this.
2030
I know exactly where
okay.
Tom Wadell is. That's
And
where I
then
was
if-
denied.
And then if you needed urgent care,
That was where I was denied. Now,
So-
let me ask you.
So I need to tell you that if there's a criminal matter, as San Francisco Police can help you, but if it's not a criminal matter, then it wasn't appropriate for us to be assisting you. And I can understand where you'd end up being frustrated thinking that we weren't doing something because you want something done. But if it wasn't a legal matter, it's not going to be us that are going to be able to fix it. So that's why I was hoping that we could talk about what it was exactly that you expected from my
Madam,
department.
please believe me, I want my medical care.
Okay.
I want assurances that if I go to your Tom Wadell with my video camera, I will receive that. And let me point one other thing out,
Yes.
which of course the Department of Public Health understands, and that
Yes.
you should understand as a psychiatric liaison.
Yes.
Under Programmatic Access, which I have the records of asking them for that, I am allowed to videotape, because under Programmatic Access, You know, this is what makes me feel safe, having been violated and having the proof of that. And I have made those arguments and everything else. So, you know, the question still remains, will I be allowed to go in and videotape the receipt of my health care? Not somebody else's, not that bogus 632 red herring. I'm not in there to get in anybody's face, videotape anybody else. The YouTube videos are obviously clear on it's about me holding the people accountable and responsible for what they should have provided that they didn't provide, and holding them accountable for the law-breaking activity. Now, while your supposition has all been incorrect, you still haven't answered my question as to when I go to videotape and they don't allow me, do I come back to you and then what? Because it'll be a denial of access and accommodation under Programmatic Access Title II ADA.
Right.
Now, as a psychiatric liaison, you should understand this.
I do. I understand that it's not a San Francisco police matter if it's an ADA violation, right?
So you guys have not had any ADA or disability sensitivity training to work with people?
What we could do is document the incident to help you with a civil case down the road, you know, with your
Mr.
civil
Garza,
case.
can you tell me what type of medical care that we're looking for?
I've been looking for
you?
primary care. You should maybe speak to Barbara Garcia. They've got all my records, and they have all the records of the denials. And as a matter of fact, madam,
They're not going to be able to give you that.
Can you just tell me, like, is it a checkup?
I haven't had medical care basically for 12 years, ever since, you know, the Department of Public Health broke. You, so you know what happened 12 years ago with me seeking.
I don't. But I knew that you hadn't had medical treatment for a while.
And do you also know that I have a signed confession from the city having, you know, admitted fault and guilt for breaking emergency medical law against me in 2007, that I took them myself to federal court in 2003 where they testified and fraudulently had my case dismissed, only to sign a confession, the only one of its kind, through the Office of Inspector General, Health and Human Services. And it's 2014, and I have an adjustment disorder. I don't adjust to disorder. That's why I document and have everything, inclusive of your failure, which you still haven't apologized or anything else.
Right.
You know.
Is it psychiatric medical care that you're seeking?
Everything. I'm a complete person. I need all care.
That's what I'm trying to understand. So perhaps we can try to help you set that up. But I need to understand what type of medical care.
I was speaking to you last time about the crisis intervention team, you know, that was supposed to have been there for that man that was shot. And I said, well, maybe we need to use this approach because apparently, as she has stated, the police department isn't there to ensure that I get my health care, you know, because if it's not a criminal matter. Even though the Department of Public Health produced a bogus restraining order against me, which hasn't been answered at this point, you know, it's she can wash her hands, you know, it's a compartmentalized, you know, risk management approach, you know, what we talked about the other day when every link in the chain is weak to fail, you know, and be unaccountable. We're here for solutions. We're here for results.
Okay, so again,
you know,
going back to solutions, what type of medical care at
primary
Tom Wadell,
care,
primary
and,
care,
you know, everything that I'm entitled to at my health care, correct, which is psychiatric, everything.
psychiatric, what else?
You know, dental, whatever it covers, you know, complete care. Now, you have to understand that, you know,
those are the cares you'll be asking for at the Tom
that's the
Wadell
care
clinic.
that I've been asking for all along, and I have the documentation. Too bad my single point of contact with the San Francisco Police Department couldn't have spoken to me about it earlier, the psychiatric liaison, you know, a year ago. But I realize it's my fault, you know, that I'm seeking my legal rights to be enforced, because I do have legal rights to medical care. And, you know, for it not to be whitewashed and for there to be accountability and everything else, which there isn't, and there hasn't been.
We spoke
to
about
date.
this in videos past,
Correct.
you and I, sitting in this very
Correct.
room, where we've offered assistance that we can offer, which is law enforcement assistance.
No, that's incorrect.
Which is law enforcement
Right,
assistance.
which would mean that you would go down there and you would arrest the people who were guilty of committing the
Mr.
criminal fraud against me with the bogus restraining order.
So,
So I want to be sure we understand definitions and terms.
Why, again, as I had mentioned before, why are you not getting a lawyer if we are all wrong and taking action, civil action, against
That's
the city?
a wonderful,
right?
great question, Mr. Yamaguchi, and I can answer that as being a person with an adjustment disorder who cannot adjust to disorder. Imagine having taken the city to federal court by yourself and having them test a lie and commit fraud to have your case dismissed, only to sign a confession 4 years later through the Office of Inspector General, the only one of its kind admitting fault and guilt for having broken federal law, and 7 years later, it still has not been explained to me by DPH, the courts, the city attorney.
So,
in your perfect
again,
world, let me finish, please.
Why not ask those very questions?
Oh, you don't think I haven't tried when I've gone to the city attorney's office and been asked to leave and escorted out by the sheriff, because they're claiming I'm being disruptive, simply following up the videos on YouTube. Once again, your perfect world doesn't exist. What is there is what's on YouTube.
Mr. Garza, this is what I've come up with listening to you, is I would be glad to reach out to the Tom Wadell and see if how we could make it so that you could get your medical treatment there and you could have your videotape running. Like, if maybe there might need to be an agreement that it is off while you're walking through the common area, but then you can turn it on when you're in the medical room, or could we try to work out some kind of
Ms.
terms?
Kruger,
Yes?
bless you for being honest and offering a solution. And yes, I'm very interested in doing that, and let me direct you.
Yes.
There are 6 videos on YouTube under Jason Garza,
Okay.
11/27/12, my meeting with the sheriff, where I met with all these people
Yes.
and told them about doing this in the videotaping and going to the Department of Public Health and getting a physician that would allow me to record, et cetera, et cetera. And I was told that they were going to work on it and that I should go back to the Department of Public Health. And then, if you continue to look, you'll see where I went back, and I was once again escorted out and abused, and on and on and on.
So, Mr. Garza, if I make this promise to you that today after our meeting, by the end of the afternoon, by 5 o'clock, I will go down to the clinic and I'll talk to them, and then I email you, because I'm sorry about my phone being so difficult, but I have a gentleman that has a traumatic brain injury that calls me over and over again, and he talked for 2 minutes and keeps calling. So my phone is a difficult thing as far as people being able to leave messages.
But madam, that does not speak to the emails.
Yeah.
It's a
So
lovely,
I'm talking
lovely,
about, I want us to have,
spin.
I want us to have a plan though. So if I go down there this afternoon, I talk to them, they tell me whatever they tell me, and then I email it to you so it's documented by the end of today as far as what the plan is. And then you can either accept it or not accept it. Yeah.
Whoa.
Because you may not.
Because basically, yeah, correct. They may not offer me what I seek, and you're going to say, well, that plan is all they're offering. Take it or leave it. It's our way or the highway, which is where it's been all along from the Department of Public Health. I know a setup when I see one. Whoa. No, you've just promised me that I will receive the help and that I will be able to videotape, given my programmatic access request, given the fact that, I'm requesting it under ADA, and given the fact that I got the prior paperwork of having gone to Tom Wadell, done everything correctly, asked for everything correctly. That's why I took an officer out on 8/15 to follow up with all the paperwork, only to be further harmed and abused by the Department of Public Health with its bogus restraining order, which was fake, and of course, according to you, is not a criminal act. There's no crime committed. You weren't harmed, Mr. Garza.
Well, for one thing, our police department is supposed to be standing by for civil matters. That's part of our policy.
I'm sorry.
We do
You're
not
telling me
stand-
there is no civil standby? You don't do that?
San Francisco Police does not.
Does not do civil standby.
Not when it comes to restraining orders.
No, excuse me, that's a wonderful spin. So when does it do standby?
But it sounded like the sergeant had something to.
So, Mr. Garza, it's just like the OCC issue, right? When you have the camera on, you're less likely to receive assistance. I understand what you have told me regarding progressive access, or programmatic access, and then that you
Yes, that's, and you know
need
where the definition is.
that you need the video camera
Correct.
with you. All right. So the good sergeant is saying that she's going to contact Tom Wadell and try to achieve this goal of having you receive the medical care that you've asked for and have the camera on. So you've got
And
to
inform them that the reason I request the camera is not only because it's my right, but also that under programmatic access, I'm entitled to it, and that under law, it cannot be denied. However, I want it all to be laid out so that if they do break the law or give her a spin, it's noted, you know.
Okay.
So we will contact Tom Wadell. Hopefully by today, right? Hopefully by today we'll be able to send you an email back telling you what we learned, and then we'll try to move on from there.
Okay,
And
wonderful.
if you don't hear back from us today, give us a day or so until we do hear back from Tom Wadell.
Sir, that's understandable.
Sir, you know what? I will email back regardless.
Okay.
They may not be able to give me, you know, what the terms are today. But I will go down there, I'll find out what I can, and I'll email you, so at least there's some kind of response today.
And once again, thank you, I'm honored.
And then the time frame, I'll ask them, if they can't give me a plan, I'll ask them specifically that I need to give Mr. Garza a time frame of when can we know what the plan is, so that I can tell you today if they said they can respond within a week, within a month.
Okay, and the worst case scenario that we receive something saying, oh, well, you know, he can't videotape, then what's the plan?
So we're going to have to go back and we're going to have to discuss that with someone with more legal knowledge than we have.
In other words, an ADA representative for the police department, which should be here, who would know that I'm speaking the truth
Mr.
and
Garza,
that I'm totally correct about the law.
Our due diligence to try to do that.
Thank you.
Right?
Can I say, like I was saying earlier, thank you for everything. However, I want you to know that that does not whitewash nor negate what you did in the past, and that we still need to speak about that because, you know, I still not only don't trust you,
Okay.
I don't have any belief in you. You know, the results, you know, I've been played so often, so many times. That's why I video record.
Okay.
You know, and we can go from there. I'm not trying to be uncivil. You must understand.
I do, and I just didn't want us to spend our first 30 minutes of meeting about all of that.
Well, you're the one who only offered 30 minutes and had you, as your thing said that you were sorry,
Yeah.
you would understand that not only is you being sorry unacceptable because there's no contrition, but to try to rope me down to 30 minutes after so much has transpired is so distasteful on any level.
Yes.
You know, as a psychiatric liaison, you should understand that.
Yeah.
But, you know, I get what I get. That's why I videotape.
Well, I saw the email on yesterday morning, and I had the whole week all
I like your
planned
smile, Mr. Garza. I'm glad you're smiling.
Mr. Yamaguchi,
Yes.
in all reality, I'm not the failure.
I'm not saying you are.
No, but that's why I'm smiling, because I'm continuing to do everything right against all odds. You know, the police department's not here to help me because it's not their jurisdiction. The LGBT, you know, representation, we still, you know, haven't spoken about the captains and them not getting back to me. You know, the maltreatment that I received based on her single point of contact, you know, from Mr. Padmore and all the videos I have of everybody else who, when I came to follow up and tell the truth, just continued to drive the stake in as far as they could and twist, because you know what? Their job was covered. They were doing what they were told, just like this woman is saying, you know, I'm telling you, you know, and once again with the bogus 632. After I've had this conversation not only with the city attorney, you know, Mr. Ramsey's, the Department of Public Health, the Mayor's Office of Disability, yada, 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 then inform them of Programmatic Access on top of it. Distasteful is not the word.
Who told you about Programmatic Access? Did someone?
That's a very wonderful
someone
question. I'm so
diagnose
glad
you
you
with
asked.
that?
If you go to the Mayor's Office of Disability and type in their search box, Programmatic Access, and if you look at the 1127, I spoke to their Programmatic Access expert. Pretty much, I guess, like the expert that they had in my, you know, federal court case that had my case dismissed, and apparently, you know, we can't be too sure whether the information the expert, you know, regurgitates is correct or not. But, you know, since you can't afford a lawyer, and we can only, you know, do what the city attorney tells us and advises us, well, Mr. Garza, you're out of luck, even though you're dead right.
Mr. Garza, you didn't say. How did you come up with the Programmatic Access?
It's, if you go to the Mayor's Office of Disability, in the search box, type in Programmatic Access, it comes right up. I even have a copy of it here somewhere if you'd like to see it off their website.
Okay.
You know, is that what you're asking me to see it?
I mean, okay.
So we can go on the SF.gov and into the ADA area and type
Not,
in that word?
I don't know about ADA. It's in the Mayor's Office of Disability in their
Oh,
search
okay.
box.
Okay.
You know, they're supposed to be the ADA people who are supposed to be there for you. And, you know, I'm getting handled by them. I can't even videotape when I go in there. you know, and of course when, you know, I tell them they're incorrect, I get the same 632 bogus thing,
So
you know, I mean,
is all of this,
yes,
you know, we've met by memory, I'd say about 5 times so far.
yes,
Okay, so in the time that we have met, each time you've used a video camera,
correct,
and each time you tell me about how you are not treated well
correct,
with the video camera. How were you treated before you used the video camera?
horribly. That's why I have all my records, you know, because regardless of me telling the truth, they're just going to be, instead of vocalizing it on video, they're just going to write me back saying, well, that's not what we said, or that's not what the city attorney says, and there is no recourse. You know, just like, you know, horribly. That's the whole point. I got all my paperwork to Tom Wadell, Dr. Pachi, everybody else seeking my health care through Programmatic Access and this.
Is Dr. Pachi your primary care physician?
No, he's the director down there who denied me. You know, it's all, you know, I have all the paperwork. I think Miss Kruger knows I keep the paperwork. Trust me, you know, because it's like my signed confession that I have. It's sitting next to an arrest record, never having been arrested in my entire life. So I, as a person who cannot adjust to disorder, no, please keep it.
Oh, thank you.
Can you imagine waking up and realizing that I've done nothing wrong and I have an arrest record, never having been arrested, right next to a confession in which the city admits it broke the law, and yet I have the arrest record, and I cannot adjust to disorder. And no one, even 7 years later, has explained it to me. And yet, you know, you keep coming back and telling me, well, this is what the city attorney told me. Well, it's a little difficult for me to really care what the city attorney said, or anyone else, considering everything that I have that they still haven't come clean with.
Okay, so did you have any questions before we wrap this up?
Well, we're going to continue. I want you to know.
But
This is a preliminary step, and then we got many other issues to go over, such as the maltreatment from the chief of police's people after you being my failing single point of contact.
Okay.
You know, why it's taken this length and breadth to get this far, you know, and just continue to hold people accountable, because this is the rigged methodology that I've stated since day one. I wanted to push up to the chief to show how it doesn't work.
Okay.
And that has still not happened, and which is still unacceptable.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
So by the end of the day, I'll give you an email regardless of whether they're able to tell me the plan. I'll give you either the plan or the time frame of when they said they'll be able to get back to me.
That's wonderful,
Okay,
and we'll, like I said, we're bifurcating this. We'll handle that issue, and then we'll continue to handle the issues as far as, you know, your maltreatment in the past, and, you know, get the contrition and everything else that I'm entitled to, if you're being sincere about your apology, and go
Okay.
forward from there. Because, you know, like I said, the issue of trust, when it comes to anybody, whether it's religion, law enforcement, medical, you know, is the very first thing we have to be on the same page about. And like I said, it's not me who's the failure here.
Okay, so I'm gonna need to go now.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay, Mr. Yamaguchi.
Yes.
Like I said, I still have that other police report thing to go over with you and everything else, but I want to do that some other day. I didn't bring any of that. I was mainly here to take care of this business and to proceed and to go forward. And, you know, we can deal with all the other stuff that we're dealing with. Hopefully, you know, when a little bit of the air clears at this point.
Okay.
You told me that, you know, I still want to go down to San Francisco General and file my complaints and videotape. And you told me that I should call for civil standby. Well, you just heard where civil standby is not provided by the police department. So I don't know where we're going to go with this, you know. I mean, isn't it wonderful how the left hand has now just said something that's in clear contradiction to what we've been working on and trying to get? Amazing. Too bad I believe you as opposed to her. Really too bad. But, you know, I want to go to San Francisco General, file the complaints, you know, especially with patient advocacy, the illegal, you know, arrest that happened there with the sheriff's people. And then, you know, just continue. I want to be able to go to OCC and everywhere else and continue what we're doing there. And, of course, the Human Rights Commission, which has denied me access and accommodation to file the complaints that I'm legally entitled to because of their bogus, you know, you can't videotape BS. But like I said, it's a cacophony. I've had this same, bogus law quoted to me, which is not applicable. And, like I said, when I've written back, I guess, when you're a mega god, you just don't have to respond, You don't like it, well, take us to court. Well, been there, done that. Guess who ended up with the signed confession being dead right, and guess who got left for dead by the professionals, who still haven't explained. He's sitting right behind this camera pointing it at you, dear sir. So, unfortunately, I'm a realist. Show me, I'll believe it. I'm not here to harm anybody. I'm here to make sure that I get what I always was supposed to have legally and medically. And I want to be sure that everybody's accountable and transparency is here. Another thing is, remember at San Francisco General, I still have not gotten my medical records. I've still been denied that, which of course is illegal, but who's going to enforce the law? So that's another reason I want to go down to San Francisco General, with you. I feel safe with you. Other people, we've had this discussion. I don't want to have to relive the horrors and for them not to understand or say, well, we don't do civil standby, whatever the case may be. Because let me tell you, I've already got all this stuff from before. There's actually a video at 25 Van Ness. There's another video at, the Department of Public Health where I was denied civil standby. And then on 12/12/12, I believe there's a video where Mr. Hanley comes down from Northern Station to inform me that I, of course, can't videotape and blah, 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 blah. Once again, misinformation, not true, not accountable, not transparent. But I can tell you who it's harmed. Me, consistently. So what would you like to do at this point, sir?
Okay, I'm going to... so you want to do the SF General Hospital, obtain medical records, and file a complaint on your mistreatment.
On the illegal arrest for seeking my medical records and the prior times that I'd been in seeking my medical records and been denied.
And the arrest was by the sheriffs at General Hospital?
Correct.
By the sheriffs.
And there's
Is that when they
police
took
report.
your camera too?
Yes.
That's the camera incident?
That's the camera. Remember, I came to you to
Yeah,
get.
and then you got your camera back?
Correct.
Okay. Sheriff.
But not my medical records.
Okay, and then you didn't get your medical record yet?
Never. Of course
And
not.
what type of medical records?
I was illegally 5150'd.
Uh-huh.
And I specifically asked for my medical records inclusive of the medical screening examination, which by law must be there.
So it's the medical records of the 5150?
Correct. And the required medical screening examination, which by law must be there.
Okay.
And,
you still haven't had a response from OCC?
What do you think?
I don't know, that's why I asked.
Well, then I think we both know the answer. No, of course not.
Right, OCC. All right, let me
do some due diligence and do some work.
Let me go figure out how to get the medical records, and I think I have an idea on the complaint with the sheriffs.
Well, we'll talk about it next
Okay.
time. Give you, I'm not trying to catch you,
No, I know you're not.
off guard or
I know
anything
you're
like
not.
that. I want the best from you. And I hope that you understand that, as much help and as sick as I am, I'm still trying to give you my best. Whether you believe it or not.
I do.
My goal is to make it right for everybody and for it to be humane. And like I said, to go what I just went through, where I wasn't even given a name and everything else and the tone and the texture of that, pardon me for, once bit, twice shy, I have to see it. I guess maybe now you can understand why with a signed confession, in 7 years, no humanity from the city, in addition to my adjustment disorder, I now have to have a video camera because, what does the law matter? What does being right matter? What does believing in what somebody says if you don't agree on the terminology or the word definition? Or if people can play games with words, this is about humanity. This is about healthcare. It's about respect, compassion, honesty. So I'll let you do what you need to do, and we'll interface. And, I'm sorry if I say I'm a little off today, but I'm really very sick. And, I have been for a while. But I think the videos speak as to what I've gotten so far from the city and county of San Francisco. So let's hope that, you know, they can afford me some humanity and give me what is legally required, my health care. Thank you.